Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some new friends today. It takes little to be big. That's the motto of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona. It all started in 1904 when a young New York City court clerk named Ernest Coulter was seeing more and more boys come through his courtroom. He recognized that caring adults could help many of these latchkey kids stay out of trouble, and he set out to find volunteers. That marked the beginning of the Big Brothers movement. Around the same time, the members of a group called the Ladies of Charity were befriending girls who had come through the New York Children's Court. That group would later become Catholic Big Sisters. Both groups continued to work independently until 1977, when Big Brothers Association and Big Sisters International joined forces and became Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. Now, over 100 years later, being a big brother, big sister, or even a big couple is one of the most enjoyable things you'll ever do. You have the opportunity to help shape a child's future for the better by empowering them to achieve their full potential. The best part is, it's a ton of fun. So are you ready to get started? Are you ready to change a child's life for the better? Well, good, it's about time, because today I'm fortunate enough to speak with Veronica Saiz, Director of Marketing and Corporate Engagement of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona. Veronica, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you.
As well as Tori Thurman, Marketing and Fundraising Events Assistant of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona. Tori, welcome to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thanks for having us.
I'm very excited, if you can't tell. Your organization's one of the best organizations in history, helping out kids and helping out families, really, helping out a lot of individuals in our country for over 100 years, and that's so important. What does it mean to you to just be a part of the most amazing organization in our country's history, Big Brothers, Big Sisters? I'll ask you, Veronica, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Personally, it means a great deal to me, right? Being able to have a job and a position and have it have impact in the community and be relatable. I mean, I'm a big sister in our programming, and I have children in my family who are littles in our programming. So it's a community effort, right?
And I did want to ask about that. We'll talk about that too, because a lot of it is what we're going to be talking about is volunteering. But what if you have kids? Maybe they should just enroll in the program themselves and get a lot more out of the experience of other individuals in our community. So that's an exciting thing that I can't wait to really talk about, because I was doing all my research and then realized that about halfway through. Wait a minute, what about getting your kid involved? So we get to talk to parents today as well. What about you, Tori? How do you feel about all this, and how did you get involved with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona?
I love working for Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I got involved about almost 2 years ago. And ever since then, I mean, speaking to people in the community about what I do and whether they know about it or haven't heard about it, leaving that conversation feeling like you've even just changed their thought process on what we do and what they can do for the community is so impactful.
I believe it. I think that your organization sometimes, in a way, flies under the radar because people think that you're like Nike. You're just running fine and everything's great because you're one of the biggest, most recognized organizations ever. So it's really important to me to get behind this organization and talk about what's new, because I don't even think people know about big couples. And that was something that I learned about as well, is the fact that if you are a married couple, or do you have to be married, or can you just be dating?
You can just be in a committed relationship.
Wow, okay.
Together for about 2 years.
Okay.
And living in the same household.
Got it. See, fascinating. And that's some of the things I think a lot of people take your organization for granted, thinking they assume that they know what it is. And it's as simple as one mentor and a young kid from a disheveled home, or someone who's impoverished, or something like that. This is what I ask of when I talked to last week when I was speaking with Boys and Girls Clubs, is I asked them a question, and who should go to the Boys and Girls Clubs? And the answer is everyone. Mm-hmm. So everyone can also get involved with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, because there's a lot of people in our community that really know a lot about different things that can help your kid out. Or maybe there's just someone in your life, if you're a single parent, where your kid needs someone to play basketball with. You know, that's something to do as well. So I really love getting to champion your great organization. But enough out of me. What does your organization mean to you? Give me a bit of a 101 of what you guys are doing now, because it's Big Brothers, it's Big Sisters, it's Big Couples. Let's talk about all of it, and then we'll start going to the different programs of it and some of your big events that are going on.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'd love to start with, I really appreciate the shout out. That history was amazing and so impactful for an understanding about the organization at a national level. But something I think a lot of people don't realize is that each Big Brothers, Big Sisters in their relative community operate independent of the national office.
Fascinating.
So we have support from the national office in regards to our brand, our quality and safety metrics for kiddos and how we track that and serve them. But we are entirely responsible for all our own funding, for recruitment of our volunteers, and so supporting those volunteers and families. So we are very much Tucson, Southern Arizona, and local.
And that's why it's important. I keep saying Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, because later we'll talk about donating your tax credit, donating some money, because you want to make sure you donate to your organization here that affects our local kids, not just to the big, broad thing. Again, it's all going to a good cause, but really let's focus on our community and what we're doing right here in Southern Arizona with your great organization.
Absolutely. So talking about big brothers and big sisters and big couples, this is something, to your point, is really under the radar, right? We do 1-to-1 youth mentoring, but the option of being able to do 2-to-1 mentoring is really impactful. We have over 100 kids waiting on our wait list, and about 80% of them are boys. So big couples typically get matched to little boys because they're just waiting the longest on that list. But that kind of relationship, and actually one that sits very dear to my heart, is my grandson has a big couple. So his ability to have 2 dedicated people who are interested in him, having conversations, sharing different experiences, providing just that much more support and attention is a big deal for a kiddo in the program.
Well, I'll say Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona must be the fountain of youth as well. You're a grandmother. I never would have guessed that at all. What are you talking about? Get out of town. That's ridiculous. See, that's because that the hope and the healing you get from helping these kids, it keeps you young. It keeps you young. I can tell. Well, that's great that your whole family really is benefiting from the program, that you're so involved, but on both sides of it, being a big sister yourself.
Yes.
That's great. What's been one of your best experiences in this by doing it?
Best experiences, I think it leans on to something we hear a lot from our volunteers, right? And going back to your opening piece about it taking little to be big. A lot of times, I think those on the outside feel like being a mentor, being a big in the program is a very big responsibility, and it can be. And it's all of these big, grand moments and gestures, but it really isn't, right? It's all of the small details that add up to big impact. So thinking about myself as a big sister in our site-based program, our Mentor 2.0, it's all the little conversations, the little tweaks to the perception of a young person about what could be possible after graduation, or different interests they didn't know could maybe be a career opportunity. And then just watching my grandson do the little things, like his most favorite thing is to cook at their house and to watch movies.
Yes.
And I always say that we obviously cook at my home, right? We watch movies, we do things with him, but there are just 2 more people who love on him and give him that attention. I mean, what child in any circumstance couldn't use more of that?
Yeah, especially young boys looking for that kind of father figure sometimes on your website. It's one of the things you list is like, just play catch in the park. That to me was almost like, oh yeah, that's so important to just have a catch. It really is. But I was saying off air, I'm committed to being a big brother come 2025, because I was also looking at the minimum of what it takes. It's just a few hours a month. That's what it is. What is the minimum of a volunteer to help someone out?
Yeah, so the minimum for our community-based is 4 to 6 hours a month. That can be doing anything from, like you said, going to the park and hanging out, to cooking, to going on a tour at a museum. Have to be 18, driver's license, insurance. We do background checks on everybody, references that we pull from people in their lives. And yeah, it's just committing your time to a little to go hang out a couple times a month.
Right. I need someone to go to the movies with. I want to see this new Sonic the Hedgehog.
There
that's
you go.
The point. And that's the thing, is that you can just do what you're normally doing. You match kids that might have some of the same similar interests to a degree, right? Like that's the idea. Whereas I'm an art guy, so find me a fun art kid, a performing kid. I like to do performative arts. Maybe someone that likes the radio, something like that. That's what's fun too, is that they do try to partner you up with someone that might have some of those same social interests. So that's something that these kids get a lot. And that's what a real mentor is. Let's show you the path. Let's speak from my experience on how you can do this or how you can do that. Especially, I don't know how to play guitar. So you want to match a kid that's a guitarist with someone that can teach him how to play guitar. And that's really fun. Now, another important thing is the safety. Obviously, that's the thing that everybody's concerned with. They wonder, because we're all a bit afraid, and I think a lot of people are just too afraid of their neighbors. Even the adults are afraid of their neighbors. They're afraid to borrow a cup of sugar. That's the thing about modern times, is that you really can connect, because whatever we think about social media, there is a way to connect with each other and to do all that stuff where you can validate people, get more everything from just their reputation that's online as well, to see if like, oh, this person volunteers here too. Oh, this person's the head of this organization as well. Hey, their LinkedIn is actually pretty great. Oh, I know all these people that they're linked to. I can just call her. Yep. And that person can really validate stuff, because Tucson has that right here in town, and do that thing to make sure that these kids are safe, but also that they're really getting that extra bit of icing on the cake with a mentor that really knows a bit about the subject that these kids care about. And that's important. That's the community mentorship style that you've kind of laid out there. But there's a different sort of mentorship style. What's the other version? And then there's the third.
So the second one's our site-based programming. So we have a program called Mentor 2.0, where we're embedded in 2 local high schools in Tucson. So it's Sunnyside High School and Tucson High. And the time commitment, to Tori's point, is very similar. It's still at 4 to 6 hours. The difference would be how that looks to the volunteer and to the child. Mm-hmm. So there are preset meetups once a month in person at the child's school. So that's set out from the beginning of the year. So like you would, put in your calendar a meeting you're going to have once a month. It's the same thing. And then you connect with them every week in between, online platform, to just chat. We're checking in with school. We're checking in with how's family. You went on a vacation. What'd you do? And so that relationship is still building in a way that the child already is kind of used to, right? When we talk about social media and texting and things like that. And then once you go through a first year of that program, you can enter into a plus program, which means you still meet once a month at the school, but now you can do things on the weekends or in the evenings because you've gone through those additional checks.
So you look at that. I love it. And again, nice time, growth, able to develop that relationship naturally as well is very important, and through all those different mediums, because the best way to communicate with each other is memes. That's how we do it these days. That's how you find common ground. That's how you do that. Let me ask you, so that was I saw Mentor 2.0. Is that different from the Safford High School BIGS program?
So it is.
Okay, tell me about that.
Thank you for bringing that up. So yes, we are in Graham and Greenlee County with that Safford program. I love this program. So we take high schoolers and we give them some leadership development training, and then they are paired to elementary school children.
Oh.
And in the community of Safford, right, this is a rural small community, you have high schoolers who walk down to the elementary school once a week, share lunch, do activities, help the kiddos with anything from homework to, just playing games. And this is the relationship that they build. And then as that high schooler graduates, we do have a handful who are staying in the community and who want to continue that relationship. And so it's eventually going to convert into a community-based program with that site-based component.
Wow.
Yeah.
See that? I love how natural it all is and how well thought out, how careful and caring the entire program is, which again, I assumed, but it's nice to, hear how all the nuts and bolts of it work, how much care is behind it. You can just hear it in the way you describe the whole thing and how well organized it is. Those programs are all available on the website, soazbigs.org. That's how you go to our local version of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southern Arizona. But let's flip it now. Let's talk about our parents that might have kids that want to enroll their kids. Because as we were talking about before, you've got grandkids, shockingly enough, in this program. How can parents get more involved, and why would they want to enroll their kids that their kid might want a big brother or a big sister or a big couple? Let's just talk about it.
Sure. So you simply start by going to the website, clicking Enroll Child, and fill out that contact form. And the benefits, to your point, every child could use at least one more person to be in their corner to get them in terms of their interests and what they want to do and hobbies and things. When I think about like my own children, right? I have a son who's a student at Pima Community College and a daughter who's a senior in high school, and I love them to death. And I think we have lots of things in common, but there are parts of them that, we don't mesh well. And so they happen to have friends and family members who get them. But then you think about kiddos who don't have anybody who understand, for example, the musician piece. Getting into a little story real quick. We have a match at Tucson High in our Mentor 2.0. And that young man who does well in his academics, but is like a big musician, right? Plays different instruments, is very driven with his music. And sharing with me talked about, his mother and his stepdad, they supported that, but they didn't get it. He would talk about having conversations with them and seeing their eyes kind of glaze over, like, that's great, Gabriel, like, so glad for you. His big brother is a musician, retired dentist, but they get it.
Yep.
And they talk about music, but his big ties in music to, academics, the success in your grades in school, how it can elevate his aspirations to be a musician. And so that connection, that's gold, right? That's them together.
Yeah. There's nothing better than a mentor. I have had this experience many times in my life where finding that adult, that experienced professional that knows what they're doing and can talk from your perspective because they were there once was one of the biggest things that ever happened. It didn't happen until I really got to like art school because I was the art kid and everyone looks at the art kid as the weirdo. Even my parents are like, you want to art? Are you sure? Be an accountant. Are you sure? And their eyes glaze over. I get it. It wasn't until I go to art school and it is just now you're in a room of every kid was the one art kid and now we're all in one room and you find your people. And that was important. And to find these adults to realize that and to kind of take away those mental blockades that allow you to go like, wait, I can do this. I can do that when I grow up. It's really important to know what you want to do and who you want to be when you're growing up. And that is a big part of what this organization does. It really helps these kids find their identity, cherish it as well, and then help it grow. And that's very, very important because that's how you get kids that aren't lost. You want them to have a goal and a path. And that path is not going to be a straight line. It'll be a squiggly line and all these different things are going to happen. But having someone to talk to get you through the triumph and tragedy of what life is really important. You need someone to lean on. So now let's talk about some of these great events that are going on. You just had a really fun one that just passed. It was your big annual gala and it was a yacht themed one.
Yeah, our big Yacht Rock Gala was on October 5th at Lowe's Ventana, and it was a blast. We had 350 guests.
Wow.
They came out and showed up. Everyone was dressed up in fun sailor outfits or Hawaiian outfits. We always hold a silent auction. We have our matchmaker segment in our program. That's our live Ask to Give, and that was outstanding. Yeah, at the end of the night, it was a big hit with everyone, and we are so grateful to everyone that showed up to support us.
So let's talk about what's coming up because you got a lot of fun events. Again, you can find them all on the website, but one of them is being a big involvement and a beneficiary of the annual El Tour de Tucson. That's exciting, and that's going to be this year on November 23rd. And people can sign up and ride for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, correct? You can be part of Team Defenders. Tell me all about it because I was saying off air, I think I want to get involved. I won an e-bike on Let's Make a Deal. I got to take it out and help these kids. What can I do to get involved with El Tour de Tucson?
Absolutely. So again, you can go to our website, soazbigs.org, and click on that main page, that graphic that says Team Defenders, and you create a fundraising page.
Okay.
So there's no entry with Big Brothers, Big Sisters to participate in the tour. In fact, one of the perks and incentives for fundraising for us is that we pay your entry into the tour.
Right.
Which I think has gone up recently. So it's, more than 150. I think it's close to 200 now to enter.
I didn't realize that's how it works, which is why it's like, okay, and you explained it to me how it all works. So that's exciting. So if you want to get involved with El Tour de Tucson, but maybe can't pay that fee, do it with you and for you because that's a huge part of it.
Absolutely. And I would go as far as to say if you were going to pay into the tour, if you donate to your own page, your entry is no longer a purchase. This is a tax-deductible donation to Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Okay.
So there is a fundraising goal of 400, right? Mm-hmm. And we provide you a website and a link to make that very easy for people to donate and to give. And again, all tax-deductible. Mm-hmm. And then in exchange, as mentioned, we pay for your entry into the tour. We give you an amazing custom Primal cycling jersey. And if you are a cyclist, Primal is the brand.
Nice.
And then if you exceed that fundraising goal, there are matching bottoms to go at that top. There are other incentives. And then we do support our riders with some different practice rides, right? We have a social brunch coming up on the 26th of this month at Reforma from 10 to 12, free to anyone who comes. But yeah, it's a community of people who love cycling, but also love supporting a great organization.
See, sounds like a fun, easy way to make friends and something I'm not afraid to do alone. I don't need a buddy and need to be codependent, as I often am, that I can just go to this thing and then, I'll see you guys there, so that'll be fun. But get involved with the team because everyone's there for the same cause, the same mission, and starting things out. And that's what this is all about. It's about getting involved with the community and doing fun things. And I'll tell you, the whole thing about raising that money is you can do it real quick and make it tax deductible because don't forget you get your Arizona tax credit. And you can donate that to the Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona. And I believe it got changed. I was looking at this at your website that a single person can donate $470. And a married couple filing together, it's up to $938 that you get a dollar-for-dollar matched tax-deductible donation. Use your Arizona tax credit. Lifestyle Tucson did a previous episode with, I believe it was IBE, talking all about this. They explained it very efficiently. Go listen to that anytime on demand over on Lifestyle Tucson on YouTube. So there's a lot going on with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, this organization that you think you knew all about, but you certainly know that you don't now because there's so much more going on. So if there was any other secrets about Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona that we may not know, tell me a secret right now.
Ooh, I don't know if it's a secret, but we're excited. So we moved our physical location at the end of last year.
Yes.
So if you didn't know, we're no longer in the downtown area.
Mm-hmm.
We moved to a centrally located campus on Grant and Alvernon.
I saw the building and it looked gorgeous.
Oh, yes. You have to come out, actually.
Yeah.
And actually, anyone listening out there, you just give us a call, and we'd love to show off the building to you. So our campus has 2 buildings on the property. One is our admin building. The larger to the back of the property is going to be built out to be our mentoring activity center.
Awesome.
So we're very close to starting that interior construction, and fingers and toes crossed will be done by next summer. It's a big deal.
It
really
like,
is.
Yeah.
So when you think about our one-to-one mentoring and our matches, the way that we function and support those will still exist, but this is just going to elevate that. We talked about bigs and littles connecting 4 to 6 hours a month, which typically looks, like 2 outings into the community.
Mm-hmm.
But having that center expands what's possible for a match in regards to, do you want to cook together? Do you want to do gardening? Do you want to play basketball? Do you want to do STEM? Do you want to do a movie night or game competition? Not all of our bigs have those available to them at home, right? When you think maybe like a college student, who could take their little back to their dorm or who would have access to game consoles. I don't know.
Right. No, game consoles is a good answer. I would even say, I'm sure you even have probably some technology stuff going on in there.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
a lot of folks don't have access to that. I was talking about how just your average house might not even, and again, this is every family everywhere. It's nothing to do with wealth or anything. Might not have paint. Because you know what? Parents like Play-Doh and they like pencils and crayons. But once you get to messier art stuff, not every house has just like, oh yeah, kids have paint around. No, they don't. Because they'll paint stuff. They don't want that to happen.
Right.
So just access to even simpler things, even croquet. Things like sporting things that like not everyone has croquet, but that's a fun thing. Plus having a central hub will be really fun because you could certainly put on events. It's going to be, we're having a film night. I'm willing to bet it's going to be maximum occupancy 500. And it's going to fill up. Once you get all that extra space, you're going to be able to start having hub-based events. And that's going to get some growth where you can literally throw parties and things like that at that event. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. We're really excited. And in addition to that, we're excited for our bigs and littles to connect with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we did take a considerable amount of time prior to making the choice on the move and where to move by surveying our bigs and littles, some of our families, some of our donors and sponsors in the community. And it's funny, when talking to bigs and littles, there were like 3 top things they wanted to do, right? Number 1, everybody wants to play basketball, so we'll have a half court there. Number 2 was baking.
Okay.
And then number 3 was connecting with other bigs and littles. We want to meet other matches that like the things that we like, and they create that community, right?
That is something too, right? So you go, it's funny right there. I wonder if that's a next tier where you got big brothers, you got big sisters, you got big couples, but then like, is there big friends where it's just people in that same boat? And then the 2 of you go out together with the 2 kids and you both enjoy it. And then you start to have that. And that's what the hub's going to really bring. Mm-hmm. Because kids want to feel and hang out with other kids in their same experience.
Right.
So that's exciting. That really is. And again, I was looking so forward to this episode of Lifestyle Tucson because this has just been a joy. Let's do one last call to action and get some people involved, because if you don't want to do it yet, I don't know what more we can do. I'm practically begging, and I promise, I am doing this in 2025, and I'm going to do my best to get out there for El Tour, because it's a good excuse for me to get out there, get on a bike, and get involved in a group that I know I could be a big part of. I've always been good with kids, even growing up. I was always the one that sat at the kids' tables all the holiday parties and raised all my cousins and nephews and godkids. And I'm all my friends' godparent, because I'm like the guy. And funny enough, the nickname was always Big Frank. So hopefully Big Frank's going to, not hopefully, I promise, Big Frank is going to make a big return in 2025 and be a big brother to some kids here in Tucson. I can't wait. That's my vow to you. And I want some of these folks in Tucson to do the same. So where can people find you on social media? Obviously, we've got the website. Where else on Instagram, Facebook, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, we're on Instagram under SOAZ Bigs, just like how it is in our website. Same thing on Facebook. If you search Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona, we are on there as well. We're also on LinkedIn. Follow us on there. We always post our events that are coming up. We post updates on new matches that we have, match stories, little infographics, just a lot of stuff based in the community.
That's exciting. I'm telling you, this was one of my favorite episodes. I can tell you already from the conversation we just had, I don't even know if I need to edit this thing. Flawless. Because today we made friends with Veronica Saiz, Director of Marketing and Corporate Engagement of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona, as well as Tori Thurman, Marketing and Fundraising Events Assistant of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona, transforming mentorship and committed to empowering all youth to reach their full potential. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. I turn into such an evangelist sometimes where I'm just begging you all to get so involved. And even putting myself out there too. I promise, as I said, that I'm going to get involved with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona. I believe, as I said, at El Tour. And next year, that is my early New Year's resolution, to become a big brother here in Tucson. And you can too. Go to soazbigs.org or follow them on Facebook and Instagram over at the same thing, SOAZBigs. Get all the information. Maybe go take that tour from them or go to their social brunch that they mentioned real quick on the 26th at Reforma from 10 to 12. It's a busy event-filled day on the 26th. So maybe this is a fun way for you to go out, get some brunch before you go hit any other event that's scheduled that day. There's a lot going on with Halloween falling where it is this year. But that was really fun. I really do implore you to at least investigate if you want to get involved. If you're a couple, maybe you want to get involved, I say do it. Try it. It's 4 to 6 hours a month. I'm willing to bet it'll change your life. That's what I'm betting on. It's going to change mine. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode a lot, as much as I did at least. Because I want to thank our new friends at Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Southern Arizona for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are big. Follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers, and Toot Toot Tucson. I love you the most.